Have you ever felt the weight of waiting? Waiting for a breakthrough, waiting for a miracle, waiting for your finances to align with God's promise. Friends, I want to tell you today that the waiting is over, because what I am about to share with you is not theory. It is not speculation. It is a divine strategy that the Lord Himself has provided, a 60-second prayer secret that can shift your financial destiny in just 24 hours. Can you imagine what your life would look like if God's favor moved on your finances this quickly? If the resources you have been longing for, praying for, and even doubting could appear in your life almost immediately, would you grab hold of it with both hands? This is the moment, and this is the instruction. The power of God's word, when spoken with authority and faith, has the ability to command your income, to release provision, to unlock the doors that have been closed, and to bring what has been delayed into your possession. There is a strategy, a spiritual principle that has been hidden in plain sight for many, but today it is revealed to you. The 60-second prayer is not a long ritual. It is not dependent on your eloquence, and it is not dependent on circumstances. It is about faith, it is about alignment, and it is about understanding the authority that you carry in the spirit realm. God has given you power over the invisible realm, and this prayer is your key to unlocking what seems impossible. You see, many people pray for hours, they plead, they ask, they hope, yet their finances remain stagnant. Why? Because they are not using the concentrated power of focused prayer, the kind of prayer that aligns your words with God's promises and releases supernatural results instantly. This 60-second prayer is not about repetition, it is about precision. It is not about trying harder, it is about praying smarter, praying boldly, and declaring with confidence that God's hand is moving on your behalf. Every word you speak in this moment has weight in the heavens. Every declaration has authority over your situation, and when you understand that, you will never pray the same way again. The truth is, God's provision is already available. It exists before your request, waiting for you to release it. But there is a condition: you must act, you must align, and you must speak with faith. This prayer will not work if your mind is divided, if your heart is doubtful, or if your expectation is weak. But when you pray with clarity, with confidence, with a mindset that expects God to act, something extraordinary happens. The spiritual realm responds, the heavens shift, and the resources you need begin to flow. I want you to understand that this is not just about money, this is about authority. It is about stepping into your God-given position where the blessings of heaven intersect with your earthly needs. It is about breaking cycles of lack, frustration, and delay, and stepping into a reality where provision is immediate, abundant, and guaranteed. And here's the secret many do not realize: you already have access. God has already positioned the angels, opened the windows of heaven, and prepared the pathways for this income to come. Your job is not to chase it, to struggle, or to plead endlessly. It is to align yourself with the promise, to speak the word with authority, and to trust that God's hand is moving on your behalf. In these 60 seconds, you will discover the spiritual principle of speaking into existence. You will learn how to declare your financial miracle as though it has already arrived, bypassing doubt, fear, and delay. You will find that when God moves, nothing can stop it. Your employer, your business, your investments, your opportunities, they all become instruments of divine favor. This prayer is not magic, it is authority. It is not luck, it is alignment. And it is available to anyone who will take 60 seconds, focus their heart, and release the power of God through spoken faith. Today, the 24-hour turnaround is not a dream, it is a promise. Today, the stagnant account can see movement, the delayed check can arrive, and the opportunities you have been waiting for can manifest. It is time to stop asking in uncertainty and start declaring with authority. This 60-second prayer secret is your key to releasing income instantly, and it will change how you pray forever. You will never see your finances the same way again once you understand the power of these seconds, the precision of your words, and the authority of the Spirit at work within you. This is a moment of revelation, a moment of empowerment, and a moment where your faith intersects with God's provision. Your breakthrough is not tomorrow. Your breakthrough is not next week. Your breakthrough begins when you take these 60 seconds, align with the Word, and speak with faith that cannot be shaken. There is a principle at work in the spiritual realm that most people never fully grasp, yet it is the very reason some prayers produce immediate results while others seem to linger in delay. This principle is not complicated, but it is profound, and it is rooted in the truth that God's provision is already prepared, already allocated, and waiting for your alignment. The spiritual principle behind instant provision is simple. The universe, or more accurately, the kingdom of God, responds to authority, clarity, and expectation. It does not respond to doubt, hesitation, or uncertainty. Many believers struggle with finances, struggling to manifest breakthroughs, because they are praying without understanding the spiritual laws at play. Prayer is not just asking, it is commanding, it is declaring, and it is positioning yourself to receive what God has already set aside. To receive instant provision, you must first understand that your words are not empty sounds. They carry weight in the spiritual realm. Every declaration you make has the potential to move mountains, shift circumstances, and release what has been delayed. But this only happens when your spirit is aligned with God's purpose and your mind is focused with unwavering faith. When you grasp this principle, you understand that your 60-second prayer is not merely a ritual. It is a declaration of alignment, a spiritual lever that pulls what is ready from heaven down into your hands. It is a principle of law, the law of authority, the law of expectation, the law of alignment. These are not suggestions, they are spiritual realities. When you pray with clarity, you activate angels, unlock doors, and position yourself in the flow of divine favor. This is why timing is everything. It is not about the length of your prayer, but the intensity and alignment of your heart, spirit, and words. The spiritual principle behind instant provision teaches that God does not move in confusion or indecision. He responds to faith, to clarity, and to boldness. Every time you pray, you are either opening a door or leaving it closed. The moment you understand this principle, you will stop wasting time with empty repetitions and start praying with authority, knowing that your words have power to bring forth results quickly. Instant provision is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is the result of understanding that God's resources are limitless, already prepared, and ready to flow as soon as you release the decree of faith. When you take 60 seconds to pray with focus, you are not asking God to scramble to create what does not exist. You are calling forth what has already been made available. This is the key. Everything you need already exists in the spiritual realm. Your prayer is the connector that releases it into your reality. Many people wonder why they pray, and yet nothing seems to happen. The answer lies in the principle they have ignored. Their prayers lack clarity. Their hearts are divided, their words are casual, and their expectation is weak. The spiritual law of instant provision requires alignment. Your heart, your words, and your faith must all declare the same truth. You cannot claim abundance while harboring doubt. You cannot declare wealth while fearing lack. You cannot receive provision while questioning the timing of God. When you understand the principle, you understand that this is not about how much you say, but about how you say it, and with what authority. It is about speaking as though what you need has already been released, as though the provision is already in motion, and as though the delay has been broken. This principle also teaches the importance of immediacy. God's provision can manifest in 24 hours because there are spiritual laws that allow for rapid alignment when your prayer is focused, precise, and powerful. You are not waiting on God. You are stepping into the flow He has already prepared. Your 60-second prayer is the key that unlocks this provision. It is not a magic formula. It is a spiritual principle of faith, authority, and alignment. This principle does not recognize your past failures. your financial history, or the doubts of others. It only responds to your declaration of faith and your alignment with God's promise. When you speak with conviction, the heavens move, the angels are dispatched, and the resources you need begin to flow. Your breakthrough is not a result of your effort alone. It is a result of understanding the law, applying it, and declaring it with power. The spiritual principle behind instant provision is the understanding that God's resources are immediate, unlimited, and available. Your words are the trigger. Your faith is the engine, and your alignment is the path through which heaven's abundance flows directly into your hands. Once you embrace this principle, you will never pray in desperation again. You will never pray in doubt again. You will pray with authority, expecting results, and you will see the 24-hour turnaround that demonstrates the power of God's law in action. This principle, when understood and applied, ensures that your prayers are not just heard, but acted upon, and your life begins to reflect the abundance, favor, and income that God has already prepared for you. There is a truth that cannot be ignored. Words have power. Not just any words, but the words that are spoken with faith, authority, and divine alignment. What you declare aloud has the ability to shape your reality, to shift circumstances, and to bring into existence what was previously unseen. This is why speaking into existence is not just a motivational phrase. It is a spiritual principle. It is a law of the kingdom, a supernatural strategy that can turn your life around in ways you never imagined. Many people pray, yet they speak cautiously, quietly, or with hesitation. They say, "God, I hope you provide," or "Lord, maybe this will happen." Friends, that kind of prayer rarely moves the spiritual mountains that block provision. Faith-filled words, however, are weapons. They are tools that unlock blessings, remove obstacles, and release favor instantly. When you learn to speak with authority, you are not merely uttering sounds. You are commanding the invisible realm to act. You are instructing heaven to release what belongs to you. You are activating the promises of God through the declaration of faith. This is why the 60-second prayer is so effective. It is short, focused, and filled with concentrated words of power that demand a response from the spiritual realm. Every word you speak in faith has energy. Every declaration has an effect. Every statement of confidence, gratitude, and expectation sets in motion the forces of heaven. When you say, "I receive my income now," you are not begging, you are commanding the principle of provision to move on your behalf. Speaking into existence requires more than desire. It requires clarity of vision, precision of language, and absolute confidence that God will respond. You cannot declare without believing, and you cannot believe without knowing that God's word is true. Your words must reflect certainty, expectation, and authority. This principle has been proven over and over again in the lives of those who refuse to pray timidly. They speak boldly, declare victory, and see their circumstances bend to the power of their words. Poverty, delay, and lack are not spiritual authorities over your life. They are conditions that can be reversed the moment your words declare otherwise. When you speak with authority, you are not negotiating, you are releasing the power that has already been assigned to you. This is the difference between praying passively and praying with results. When you speak into existence, you are co-laboring with God. You are not creating from nothing. You are pulling from the invisible realm what God has already provided. Your words are the conduit, your faith is the fuel, and the Spirit of God is the source that makes the impossible become visible. This is why declarations are so important. Saying, "I am prosperous," "My income is increasing now," is not mere affirmation. It is a command to heaven. It is a spiritual lever that shifts resources, opens doors, and brings rapid results. And the incredible truth is that speaking into existence is not limited by time, geography, or circumstance. It transcends human limitations because it operates in alignment with divine law. Your spoken words have the capacity to bypass delay, to break curses, to reverse stagnation, and to release what was previously hidden. That is why it is critical to guard your words. Speak fearlessly, speak boldly, and speak in alignment with God's promises. Do not let doubt, worry, or negativity creep into your declarations, because what you speak with hesitation will not produce acceleration, it will produce delay. Instead, speak with unwavering confidence, knowing that every syllable carries weight in the spiritual realm. When you understand this principle, you begin to recognize the difference between a wish and a decree. A wish is passive, a decree is active. A wish hopes for results, a decree commands them. When you combine your spoken words with faith, gratitude, and expectation, you are creating the conditions for immediate manifestation. You are calling forth the income, the provision, and the opportunities that God has already assigned to your life. This is the spiritual principle behind speaking into existences. Words are not empty. They are powerful. They are weapons in the hands of faith. They are tools that release miracles, income, and abundance. And when applied consistently, strategically, and with authority, they produce results within 24 hours, just as God promised. Today, you must decide to speak boldly, to declare your provision, and to release the words of faith that will bring your breakthrough into reality. Every word counts. Every declaration matters, and every sentence you speak in alignment with God's promise moves you closer to your miracle. Expectation is one of the most powerful forces in the spiritual realm, yet it is one of the most misunderstood. Many believers pray for miracles, for breakthroughs, for financial provision, but their expectations are weak, divided, or unclear. They want God to act, but they do not fully expect Him to deliver. Friends, here is the truth: God's promises are alive, they are powerful, and they are ready to manifest, but they respond to your expectation. Your mind, your heart, and your spirit must all be aligned with the certainty that what God has promised is not only possible, it is inevitable. Aligning your expectation with God's promise is not wishful thinking, it is spiritual positioning. It is understanding that the invisible realm operates according to divine laws, and one of those laws is that faith-filled expectation releases provision. When your expectation matches the promise, you create a resonance in the spirit realm that cannot be ignored. Angels respond, doors open, and the resources you need begin to flow. The challenge for many is that they approach prayer with a mindset of scarcity. They pray as though God might say no. They hesitate, doubt, or second-guess His timing. This weak expectation creates friction in the spiritual realm and slows the movement of blessings. But when you shift your expectation, everything changes. When you expect the income, the favor, and the provision as though it has already arrived, the spiritual realm responds immediately. This is why the 60-second prayer works so powerfully. It compresses your focus, aligns your heart with God's promises, and activates your faith to expect results without delay. Expectation is not passive. It is an active declaration of trust. It is not hoping, it is believing with confidence. It is not questioning, it is commanding with authority. And it is the key that unlocks what has already been prepared for you. When your expectation is aligned with God's promise, you begin to notice synchronicities in your life. Opportunities appear where you never looked. Resources find their way to you in unexpected ways. People are positioned in your path to open doors you never imagined. But this does not happen by accident. It happens because your expectation is now a powerful magnet that draws God's promises into your life. You see, expectation and faith are inseparable. Faith activates the unseen, and expectation gives your faith direction and intensity. Without expectation, faith is scattered. Without faith, expectation is powerless. Together, they create an unstoppable force that moves heaven to meet your needs. This is why aligning your expectation is as important as your words, your declarations, and your prayers. It is the internal positioning that ensures your 60-second prayer produces immediate results. It is the mental and spiritual posture that removes doubt and hesitation and replaces it with certainty. When you pray, you must see the outcome clearly in your mind. You must believe it as if it has already happened. You must speak, act, and think in alignment with the reality of God's promise. Anything less creates delay. Alignment of expectation also requires trust. You must trust that God's timing, His wisdom, and His ability are perfect. You must release control of how the blessing arrives, and instead, maintain unwavering confidence that it will arrive. This trust strengthens your expectation, and your expectation strengthens your faith, creating a continuous flow of spiritual momentum. When expectation is aligned, your prayers are no longer timid requests. They are powerful declarations that command the spiritual forces to release the blessings already assigned to you. You begin to see the invisible moving in your favor, the miraculous intersecting with the ordinary, and the financial increase manifesting within 24 hours as promised. This is the principle behind aligning your expectation with God's promise. It is not about hoping, wishing, or wondering. It is about positioning your heart, mind, and spirit to receive what God has already prepared. It is about seeing it, speaking it, believing it, and acting as though it has already arrived. Once your expectation is aligned, your prayers take on new power. Your declarations become unstoppable. Your 60-second prayer moves from simple words to a spiritual command that heaven cannot resist. And when this alignment occurs, the promise of God manifests swiftly, perfectly, and abundantly, proving that the power of expectation is not just theory, it is divine reality. There is a principle in the kingdom of God that many people overlook. Timing is spiritual. God's provision is not bound by human calendars, budgets, or delays. It can arrive in 24 hours when your faith, your words, and your expectation align with His promise. The 24-hour financial turnaround is not a theory, it is a supernatural reality that happens when you pray with authority, clarity, and absolute certainty. Most people think financial miracles take months or years. They believe they must work harder, wait longer, or plead endlessly. But the truth is that God's provision can appear almost instantly when you understand the spiritual law behind it. This law is simple. Focused prayer plus aligned expectation equals immediate manifestation. The 60-second prayer is your tool, your strategy, your doorway to this rapid turnaround. When you pray with intention, you are not merely asking, you are declaring, commanding, and releasing the provision that God has already prepared. Your words, spoken with faith and authority, move the spiritual forces into action. Your belief positions you to receive, and your expectation aligns heaven with your need. In 24 hours, circumstances can shift. Delayed payments, stalled opportunities, and stagnant finances can begin to move because the spiritual law has been activated. The turnaround is not dependent on your bank account, your boss, or the economy. It is dependent on your alignment with God's principle. When you pray with precision, the heavens respond. Angels are dispatched. Opportunities are opened. Resources that seemed inaccessible become visible. Doors that were closed begin to swing wide. This is the essence of a 24-hour turnaround, God's provision responding to focused, authoritative prayer. And here is the critical insight. The speed of this turnaround is not about the length of your prayer, but the depth of your alignment. Your heart must be fully engaged. Your faith must be unshakable. Your words must be deliberate. Every second counts. Every declaration matters. In those 60 seconds, you are establishing a spiritual command that heaven cannot ignore. This principle has been proven countless times. People pray with clarity and boldness, expecting God to act, and within a single day, their finances shift. A check arrives. A contract is approved. A business opportunity opens. A loan is approved. The turnaround is swift because the spiritual alignment has been executed. However, it is critical to understand that this does not happen by chance. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is the result of understanding and applying spiritual law that God's resources are immediate, limitless, and responsive to authority-filled prayer. Your words, your faith, and your expectation are the trigger. When these align, provision manifests quickly. Another key aspect of the 24-hour turnaround is the elimination of delay. Often, financial stagnation persists because of doubt, fear, or misalignment. When you declare your provision with certainty, you break the hold of delay. You remove the chains that have kept your blessings from appearing. You step into the flow of divine acceleration, where the natural timeline is bypassed and God's supernatural provision flows according to His law. This is why consistent, focused prayer is essential. The 60-second prayer is not a random exercise. It is a strategic tool designed to bring instant results. Its power is magnified when combined with aligned expectation, clear declaration, and unwavering faith. When all these elements converge, a 24-hour turnaround is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. You will see proof in your own life, in the unexpected phone call, in the sudden deposit, in the opportunity that presents itself in a way that cannot be explained naturally. This is the power of God's kingdom law at work. It is instantaneous, unstoppable, and undeniable. Friends, the 24-hour financial turnaround is a revelation. It shows you that God is not limited by time, circumstance, or human understanding. He is ready to act now, today, in alignment with your faith and your words. The key is to embrace this principle fully, pray with authority, declare with confidence, expect without doubt, and watch as your provision manifests within the next 24 hours. This is the promise of God's kingdom, a promise that cannot fail when you operate in alignment with His laws of provision, expectation, and faith. Once you grasp this, the fear of delay disappears. The anxiety over finances is replaced with anticipation. And the breakthrough that you have been praying for is no longer a distant hope. It becomes a present reality, flowing into your life swiftly, powerfully, and abundantly. Many believers live their entire lives trapped in cycles of delay and lack, never fully understanding why blessings seem slow to come or why provision always feels just out of reach. But here is the truth. These cycles are not accidents. They are patterns, spiritual patterns that can be broken when you understand God's laws of provision and take authority over your circumstances. Breaking cycles of delay and lack begins with awareness. You must recognize the spiritual, mental, and emotional habits that have kept you in a state of waiting, frustration, and insufficiency. For some, it may be fear of failure. For others, it may be doubt in God's promises. For many, it is a combination of negative thinking, ungodly words, and unresolved past experiences that continuously reinforce scarcity. The first step in breaking these cycles is acknowledgement. You must see the pattern, name it, and confront it. You must refuse to allow your past or your present